And let's stay with opposition politics. I mean, these politics, when you look at opposition party politics, they were also in sharp focus in 2022. You're looking at, tough questions from Parliament, but also what's happening in council. You think about some of what we've seen emerge in some of the councils. You think about Nelson Mandela Bay, for example, that we just saw. You think about the Joburg Council. You think about Tshwane. You think about Ekurhuleni. Really, it's been quite an eventful year when you look at what has been happening in coalition politics. And some, of course, see the results that we then saw in the 2021 local government elections, no party bagging 50+ votes. And some saying that this is a signal that the political landscape might be changing in South Africa. Let's look at some of the highlights then when it comes to the 2022 opposition politics and speak to political commentator Thami Malinga. Thami, thank you so much for your time. I mean, one really has to chuckle when you look at Nelson Mandela Bay. This is another, one of those stories where opposition politics just isn't stopping.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's one of those that when you look at it, the ANC is really trying after Nasrec to win back metros leading to 2024. I remember there's one in the Eastern Cape prior to the 2022 Nasrec conference. The Eastern Cape said to Gauteng, how can they dictate terms when they don't even have one metro in their hands? Now it's gone back to drawing boards for most of these provinces, where they are trying to make sure that they've got the metros going into 2023 so that they start consolidating, they start having bases where they could start their electioneering going into 2024. Now 2023 is going to be the foundation where they have to build their campaigns. So they need the metros. Whether they're going to do it via the motion of no confidence, which has proven to be a very tough, a tough ground to break. They've seen with Gauteng that they now cannot rely on the smaller, on the minority parties. Now they need to find another way, and another way is either they go through the demarcation boards, which they have done previously, where if they don't have the numbers, then they go through the demarcation boards and make sure that they split regions, they split provinces, they split municipalities in order to get numbers and win some municipalities back. And if they can't do that via that, they then go through the act, which is what they are now trying to do with the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro.
And listening to you, then it sounds like we're still in for quite a ride when it comes to Gauteng. When I'm listening to you, it sounds like they're not done yet. But let's then look at, the picture come 2024, because others are saying that it may just be that South Africans may have to brace themselves for a coalition arrangement when you look at national level. But when you pause that conversation and you look at, what some are saying, that opposition parties themselves are sometimes not even providing much for some of those that may be their own supporters. Are they providing a solid enough alternative in your view?
No, they are not providing much, when it comes to their own parties. So in this instance, it's a matter of how can they now try to say to their own electorate, hey, if we get into power, we will try to make something out of nothing. That is why they are now clinging into this coalition government in metros. They're trying to make sure that when they're in metros, they get these seats where they try to, to make sure that they seem to be doing something. If you remember, during the term of Herman Mashaba, the EFF tried to make sure that it is seen to be doing quite a lot. You know, they pushed a lot of motions via the DA. They put Herman Mashaba in the corner. Hence, Herman Mashaba lost favor with the DA because he passed a lot of motions that were put forward by the EFF. And the EFF was then seen by its electorate to be doing something in Gauteng. So in that way, the EFF was seen by its electorate in Gauteng to be doing something for the marginalized. So in this way, the minority parties, if they cling on to these coalitions, they will be seen to be doing something. But you know, it becomes a catch-22. You know, they will want to cling on to the coalitions so that come 2024, you know, their members will say, well, they did something when they were in the coalitions, so let us give them the votes so that they become part of a bigger coalition at national level. That is.
Pardon me for coming in there. What about then the official opposition? Because some say that the bleeding of some of the black leaders will continue to put it on the back foot, as well as the fact that it may not be able to extend its, you know, voter base beyond its core of those who normally vote for it. How do you then see it performing, especially when it comes to the context of 2024?
Yeah, that is where the danger is, you know, because with the current official opposition, it stands a risk with Action SA taking some of its members, and on the other hand, it stands a risk with the EFF trying to make sure that it muscles the ANC into submission. We've seen that with Ekurhuleni. We are seeing that with Johannesburg as well, where the EFF is trying to muscle the ANC. So the official opposition in this instance is trying by all means to cling on to the vote. That you can tell by what the interview that Helen Zille did with the SABC political editor Mzwandile Mbeje, where she went on to say South Africans have got two options because it's the EFF or the DA. You know, she was, in my view, being alarmist to say these are the only two parties that know what they stand for. In terms of South Africans should know that these are the two parties that know what they stand for. It's either you vote for the DA, which is unwavering in its policies, or the EFF, which is unwavering in its policies. To an extent, she was correct, but for me, she was alarmist in saying that either you vote for us, the DA, or you vote for the EFF, which is very radical, and it's going to take you guys down. And you know, it's not that, and we know it's not the darling of the media. We will be told that it's going to take the country down. So in that way, she's trying to woo people back into the DA by saying, by uttering that statement.
And I suppose then only time will tell if she'll be able to succeed. Interesting times ahead, it looks like we are in for, Thami. Thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it. That is Thami Malinga, political commentator.